When you see people from all different parts of the world voting in a free election, I think that that's not something that can be taken lightly or taken for granted. My name is Lucy Nicholson. I'm a Reuters photojournalist and I'm based in Los Angeles. There's been a lot of issues around disinformation in elections. So today we're experimenting with new tools to establish the provenance of photos and to make them more trusted by the public.
We live in an era in which fake news is something that we've all had to contend with. And journalists have been really caught in the crossfire of all sorts of different political debates around what is actually authentic news. 73% of Americans believe that the data that they see online is something that just can't be trusted at all. We are deeply concerned about that. If people can't trust the data that they see, then how can they possibly create trust between themselves? The Starling Framework for Data Integrity is a comprehensive set of tools and principles that allow organizations to securely capture, store, and verify human history. Starling is a joint project co-founded by the USC Shoah Foundation and Stanford's Department of Electrical Engineering. Our goal is to help restore confidence in our digital imagery. Today, we're at a turning point. New technologies are changing the way we consume media, and governments are beginning to write new laws to deal with manipulated images and video. Things are moving so quickly, and we knew we had to respond. With this case study for the Starling Framework, we sought to test in the real world how cryptography can be used to establish the authenticity of an image. And to do this, we began a relationship with Reuters to explore how a series of prototypes could help the work that their photographers bravely do every day in creating photos for the Reuters Newswire.
Today was the California primary. And so we were visiting many different polling stations around Los Angeles and photographing people voting. The polling stations in California are open to the media, and we're allowed to view everything that's going on. We're not allowed to photograph people's actual ballots, but everything else that they're doing within the polling station, we're allowed to photograph. It's important to document all parts of the electoral process in free elections because it's important to have transparency. Today I was using a Starling capture phone in addition to my Canon camera. The phone simultaneously will hash the image, it will hash the metadata, the barometer, the gyroscope, the GPS data, and send all this information to Reuters. What this process does is it creates a chain that shows this photo was taken in exactly the place that we say it was taken. This has a lot of relevance for photos taken in war zones, for example, or taken in countries where elections are less trusted. It basically just creates an extra layer of trust around a process which is very much in question at the moment.
The tools that we are developing are meant to address these issues head-on. We use next-generation protocols from Filecoin and IPFS to transmit the photos and then securely store them with advanced cryptographic proofs. This establishes the integrity of the data from the field all the way up to the newsroom. We then used IBM Hyperledger Fabric and the Hedera Hashgraph to create a system for Reuters editors to log on an immutable ledger every change made to a photograph before it's published, and then deployed a decentralized gun database to allow millions to access these records. All of these assertions around the time, date, and the location of the image are embedded and encrypted directly within the file itself to clarify it, to give it context, and to make fact-checkers' jobs far easier. Our case study helped us learn about how cryptography can be used to help preserve the safety and the privacy of journalists, and also how those methods need to remain open and transparent, especially as cryptography is starting to be embedded directly on the hardware of devices. We've been able to take these lessons and apply them to things like the Content Authenticity Initiative, which is setting new standards for content attribution. The most important thing we learned is that while cryptographic ledgers are helpful, there's also a danger. You don't want to create a single central ledger that somehow represents the truth. The architecture of any authentication system should be decentralized to allow as many fact checkers as possible to do their job. That way, one photo can be supported by a network of trusted knowledge, and each source can remain independent. We need to ensure that innovation is used to help people securely get the most amount of information, but then allows them to come to their own informed conclusions and see multiple points of view. The stakes are high, and as we worked with photojournalists like Lucy Nicholson, we learned a lot from the ethics that drive her work, and we refined our prototypes with these learnings. We're using our tools for an important goal: to preserve the integrity of elections and to ensure that no voice is suppressed and no method of legal voting is invalidated. These photos are records of the essential moment of democracy, and they need to remain untampered with and trusted.
Most of the elections I've covered in California have had quite a heavy turnout. Late in the evening, people will come from their jobs and wait in line for a really long time, quite patiently, in order to cast their ballot. People are very dedicated to the process. I see the importance of institutions. I see the importance of trust amongst communities. And I think that can easily be eroded, and it's not something we should ever take for granted.